The woman.
The purity of snow always reminds me of the purity of a man. Ah, yes! King Philip III on his steed. A reminder of what Revachol once was.
Oh, absolutely. At the mercy of a cocaine-snorting tyrant who emptied the treasury so he could sleep on a bed of gold.
A superpower, feared and respected. A testament to what this country can be under the leadership of a true king. Someone who knows how to rule. Decisively, without fear of offending the sensibilities of the frail and weak-minded among his subjects. This is something the insurgents never understood. You haven't lived as long as I have, son. With age, a man learns certain things about real power, or else ends up a spineless socialist rat, like Gaston here.
And the worst part of that, officer, is having to spend your days playing pétanque with an angry snake.
The carabinier doesn't reply, but his entire being communicates unbreakable resolve.
Right. Unfortunately, I don't. Unlike most of the locals, in Martinez, cop is a
He doesn't know about the crime. Your time?
If I knew, I would not be afraid to tell.
'Tis true, sire. He knows nothing.
Officer, the mere sight of police in Martinez makes me feel safer already. How sure, officer? No, thank you.
Wow, a very large red t-shirt with an impressive print stands out from the other garb. Oh yeah, the print depicts a muscled man striding toward you, a giant sword in each hand, encircled by burning embers. Behind him is a cluster of cabins engulfed in flames. Beneath him are the words, Hjelmdal burning, smells like worn cotton, and a little old sweat there. Worn cotton with a side of flea market or trash bin.
Sniffing is okay, but please don't try anything on. Can't. Hell yeah, man. I don't usually carry printed tees, but this one was just pure exemplar. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I'm a fan, but I do think the Hjelmdalaman saga is an integral part of our shared reality. Most people don't think that the man from Hjelmdal really existed. But they're wrong. I mean, even if the man from Hjelmdal didn't exist before the adventure novels, the stories have made it so that he has. It's simple, really.
Okay.
You sound skeptical. It's not that complicated. All that's required is a more robust understanding of cause and effect. Besides, I've been to Kotla, though not quite as far north as the Hjelmdal, and watched northern lights travel across the sky.
It's for the best, because Hjelmdal is not a real place, and thus he could not have gone there. His theory isn't exactly incoherent, but its logic does suggest some unusual neural activity. Interesting.
2 real.
That's dirt cheap.
But Why? I deal in goods, not services.
A typical Martinez streetlight sits among assorted floor and table lamps. The boomboxes on the shelf look well-loved and well-traveled. Chipped, dented, they stare at you with the unblinking eyes of their tape reels. One especially catches your eye. Deep gold and amber plastic with a big old handle on top. A classic boombox. Just make sure it works before you buy it.
Is the Harman Welsh W2, made in Vespa, designed in Seoul, plays all reel-to-reel formats, 2mm, 8mm, 12mm. It's even got a little radio in there. It'll set you back 12 real. If police work means playing tapes, sure, you can use it for that, or any other time you'd need to play a tape. Absolutely. I've tested each one myself with recordings of speech, found sounds and music from a variety of genres, even though I don't really like music.
That's odd. Why doesn't he like music?
The stuff I record myself, silverware shaking in drawers as motor cars race by, nocturnal animals climbing on the roof, airship rotors, that kind of thing.
Maybe you should ditch music as well. Get into these more experimental sounds he's describing.
Hello again. How can I help you?
A rusting control panel with loose wires dangling out from the This panel usually closes the water lock, turning it into a bridge that lets you cross the canal. But there's a crashed salmon and butter sign in the way. Pulling the lever probably won't do anything. A crumpled billboard reading, "Samaran butter soaks in the canal." Two ugly lines mar the bright countenance of the blonde boy depicted. The sign billboard has fallen on the waterlock, keeping it open, and thus out of order. Whatever it is, the boy on the billboard seems very happy about it. Goat milk butter. The Samaran terrain makes it easier to raise goats than cows, and the local goat farmers produce high-quality meat and dairy staples that add variety to other nations' diets. It's an acquired taste. Judging by the size of the impact and the parallel lines of burnt rubber, the cause was probably a motor vehicle. Side slip marks indicated that the vehicle was traveling up the crater at 35 kilometers an hour. The black marks on the roof indicate that the vehicle vaulted from the crater to the roof of the shack. The panel served as a takeoff ramp. The vehicle soared through the air, hitting the billboard and upsetting the posts. Then it continued its flight, taking the billboard with it. The sign broke the vehicle's fall into the canal. The Samaran butter billboard still looks freshly painted, suggesting it took the plunge recently, within the past 72 hours. Still speeding, the vehicle made a loop and vanished into the fog along the coast. There are two good candidates, the Caprice 40 and the Linear G22. It's about the right size, and the tire marks look like they came from the skinny tires frequently found on that motor carriage. The Caprice 40 is a very popular model, with bank clerks, topping pie delivery drivers, secondary school teachers, cops, strippers dressed as cops, undressed strippers. Very sturdy but light motor carriage. More likely than most to survive that jump. The Linear G22 is not a particularly popular model due to its peculiar proportions, which the manufacturer's design team probably thought about for too long. You'd have to follow the tracks to be sure. The lieutenant looks on, waiting for you to wrap up your analysis.
Any theories about what happened here? What kind of car do you think it was? That's quite likely, from what I can tell. Oh. The traffic hooliganism? I hope not. Fortunately, we are not traffic cops. Should we get back to the murder?
Somewhere in the depths of your alcohol-addled soul, you find a few threads that you can weave into a story.
The tip-top tourney champion?
The lieutenant patiently listens to the words coming from your mouth.
Jumping canals at night? If I was Jacob Irv, I wouldn't drive in Martinez. The roads are awful. In conclusion, it's a colorful theory, but I don't believe Jacob Irv did this. Should we go? If we must.
The crumpled salmon butter billboard still soaks. The lieutenant looks on.
The shine on these sunglasses lasts a lifetime, officer. 100% guaranteed.
You see a Samaran street vendor surrounded by a motley assemblage of goods. When he realizes you're looking at him, the name Sileng is embroidered over his breast pocket.
Happy shopping, officer. Everything's cool here. Everything's cool. The goods are cool, the customers are cool, the place is cool. And one more thing, officer, you're very cool. Bang, 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 bang!
You feel a twitch in your index fingers. There's a finger shootout brewing.
Don't shoot, officer! Have we got an arrest here or just a shakedown? Of course, I'll come quietly. But perhaps I could convince you to arrest some of my wares, officer. With your money, maybe? Only the coolest goods in Revachol. I've got sneakers, speakers, extremely comfy pants too. Try them on right here. No shame, only freedom. I'm an entrepreneur, officer. I've got sources, buyers, suppliers, distributors, manufacturers, wholesalers, All extremely cool and above board. Good joke, officer! Here we don't have permits. Just economic freedom. Take a look around.
You glance around the decrepit buildings, the miserable weather, the sidewalks strewn with sunflower seeds and a dust-choked air.
It's beautiful. Beautiful freedom.
It is, yes. Anyone can set up their shop whenever they feel like it.
That's right. No permits, no bureaucracy. That's why this city and its law officials are so cool.
If you wanted to be cynical about it, you could say we are here to protect the interests of property holders. I am not, however.
My man, officer, you make all this possible. Without you, this climate would be extremely bad for business. You're part of the Gossamer state.
Gossamer is a fine, filmy substance consisting of cobwebs spun by small spiders, seen especially in autumn. It's safe to say he's referring to the near absence of regulations.
Yeah, that's the main thing about you. Freedom is great. It's what lets independent entrepreneurs like me sell quality goods at competitive prices. No need for discounts at ceilings, officer. Everything's already on sale. Anything you want, 50% off.
But did he first mark them up 100%, just so that he could put them on sale?
My man, you know how the game is played. You and me, we should work together. What do you think? Shake things up? Anything for you. You mean these delicious pre-packaged shelf-stable meal kits? Really easy to cook, no hassle, really cheap too. Buy some, try them out.
No hassle. There's a little of a hassle here, it appears. A moral hassle.
It is. Practically free. Yours for 5 cents a piece. Rock that tuna. Why not some macaroni too? No problem here, officer. I get all this from one of my suppliers, an extremely reputable guy.
Wait. Humanex. Humanitarian aid.
What?
A convincing performance. Bravo.
Look, officer, I'm just a retailer. You'd have to talk to my supplier if you got questions about the supply chain. That's how the game works.
Interesting.
Me? It's a boring story, officer. Who cares about the past? I'm all business now. All Revachol.
This man probably comes from Seaguy, sometimes known as the Apricot Suzerainty, an archipelago in the Samaran Isola. Apricot Suzerainty calls to mind an era when the Seaguy archipelago was colonized by Revachol. It's a bit of a slur, in other words.
Very cool. I admire your awareness of our intertwined histories. It's super nice of you to apologize for colonialism, but the Apricot Suzerainty is a shithole. That's why I left. If you say so, officer. I don't worry too much about politics. I'm an entrepreneur, you know. Whatever's good for business is good for me.
Start with a little compliment, then work your way up from there. This is about business, remember.
Oh, okay. But why, officer? An investment? What kind of investment? I hear you, officer. What kind of a sum are we talking about here? Officer, do I look like a drug lord? I don't have that kind of money. Sounds like a fair deal all around.
Corruption.
It's just like bus or seagull. A kid watching out of a window describing things going by. He doesn't like it too much, but what do you do? Advanced race theory. Everything is calm in the eye of the race storm. Your mind is lucid and bright. The mind-bending phylogenetics appear more distant and, to be fair, a little ridiculous. The great race mystery has cleared up. All that's left to do is verbalize your thoughts. Go and talk to Measurehead about your newly found insights.
What do you see?
Fuck does Kuno care? Fucking right, pig. Kuno's filling bathtubs with that shit. Kuno, fuck no, pig.
Belying the act, he's got to at least know. You need to befriend him first.
The fuck about it? Kuno doesn't give a shit about the armor. Kuno's fuck-gimp's got one big thing wrong with him. He's a fucking mutant. Look at him. Fucking growth hormone shit. He's a giant. The armor's too big for any man. Kuno doesn't give a shit about that freak armor. Kuno threw that shit away. Kuno tried to get the helmet on. It was too big. Kuno kicked that shit in the sea, rugby style. That shit means nothing to Kuno. Yeah, that shit means nothing to Kuno. Kuno doesn't give a shit about material shit. Kuno's a fucking monk. You wanna fuck on someone about that armor? Go fuck the mustached union fuck. The jolly troubadour shit at the gate. Yeah, cock and boot. You know that jolly union cow fucker? Came around talking about cows or some shit? Came around pretending like he cares about cows?
Yes, you met him at the gates. The one with the boots and the jolly smile.
Yeah, he's the one you want to talk to. He's fucking crazy about that armor shit. Coming here pretending like he likes cows. Trying to catch a peep at Kuno's armor.
Curious, my liege. Why did Kuno feed you this information?
Yeah, Kuno's doing charity today. Kuno Day. Kuno feels sorry for you two loser pigs. Kuno's doing pity now.
Still, seems suspicious. He may have it in for that guy. Or you may be paranoid.
Fuck are you talking about? What is this contusion shit?
He says you're stupid, Kuno. They want to make you stupid again.
Oh, did Kuno make your shit sniffing harder? Obstruction of shit sniffing? This is Kuno's kingdom. Kuno fucking rules here.
You hear the lieutenant hum.
You're testing Kuno's patience here.
Get lost,
what's going on is an ungovernable youth on your crime scene, throwing around incendiary language, trying to push your... like you don't have enough on your plate. You feel a sudden surge of self-pity coming on.
Trying to fuck at the Kuno! Trying to fuck at me! Trying to fuck! Kuno only gets higher! It's faster, faster, faster! Can't take the Kuno! Stay out of the reactor!
Kuno gonna fuck you up! Up, up, up!
Normal is not what we got here. You've got to work with what you have for now.
Kuno doesn't fucking care!
Lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big, heavy Grad-made machine is well kept for such an old machine. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings, stickers, insignia. Fumes of heavy fuel oil waft over you, making your eyes sting. The odor mixes with cigarette residue. The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. Proclamations about honor, strength, and purity are glued to various panels. A large metal pendant hangs from the rear view mirror. It is the seal of Royalist era Revachol. The back end of the cabin has a small perch to sleep, large ashtrays. There are several suns and wheels sewn into the curtains. A book with ragged edges catches your notice. The front cover features a large, muscular man. The title reads, Man from Eamdal in the Lost City of the Pygmies.
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town. This is our guy. Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is. Drapes it all over his machine.
There he is, in front of Rita, smoking nervously, hoping it's over. to work! Right to work! Shame on you!
Have fun. Union shits are on full strike. Don't think they're going to let you through the gates. Why you want...
Right to work!
It's shame.
Why not?
Pity.
Lad!
Not before you get in there and get your ass whooped. Learn by failure, I always say.
He might have some advice, but you got to at least try.
The unpromising race pupil returns. There is nothing funky about them. There are 3 categories of race. Type A, I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss. Type B, Revacholian. And... Look, babe. The rich man has humiliated and emasculated this couple. He can only think in base materialist categories and feminine abstractions like money.
Rich man really fucked him over, Jean.
His rage is already played out on the stage of history as the grotesque tragedy of revolution. All it can accomplish now is impotent academic text and neurosyphilitic rock and roll melancholia. Impotent class warrior, I take pity on you. You clearly want to enter the harbor bad, like a little boy who wants to go on the potty. I can press the button for you. It will open the door. Very well. You may enter the door once. Our race conversation here has concluded.
Finally. Let's go.
The unpromising race pupil returns.
Tarpaulin cloak is still hanging on the railing. The white rectangle of the Revachol Citizens Militia is clearly visible on its back. As your fingers touch the tarpaulin, It almost feels like the cloak wants to deliver a message of comfort through your fingertips. An imposing combination of a punch clock and a payphone is looking down at you from the wall. A note on the side says, "Tokens unavailable due to strike. Use change." On second glance, someone has forgotten to properly close one of the drawers.
It's unfortunate for the Union to just leave their paperwork lying around like this.
The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is a well-organized selection of brown folders. Hundreds of documents containing logistical data. Two kinds of transactions stand out. Materials coming into Revachol from the outside world, from Muindi, Grad, and even Ilmara, and the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol. Kuron, Coal City, La Delta, and Jamrock are listed among the many districts where the imports are being sold. It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines are getting blurry. Look how blurry all the lines on these papers are. How unwieldy your own willpower is to yourself. Hermeneutics was almost within your grasp, but now only vague letters float before your eyes. Less meaningful, but aesthetically more pleasing. You are a police officer, not a spiritual healer. You can focus the normal way by turning your attention to something and not letting go.
Is that what you're doing with those folders over there? Good. This is probably not relevant to our case anyway. After all, we are not investigating an accounting mystery.
You're trying hard, but the data here is unbelievably dry. Something about containers. The drawer slides shut. The front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Friesel. From the sides of his head, a pair of white antlers spread to the corners of the cup. Because white antlers are one of the symbols of communism. They represent a society in accord with the natural world and at the same time above it. Because Friesel was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the communards wished to overthrow. It's satire, you see. To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. Just column after column of closely set text, interrupted occasionally by little doodles in black and white. After rifling the pages with your thumb several times, you return to the table of content. The magazine is divided into several sections. International developments. Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way the rigid, crystalline structures of capitalist ideology turn to smoke under communism. But, like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée, unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel. La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers. Only 4 issues in, and it sounds like they've already alienated their readership. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today.
What do you expect? It was laying around the office of the Debarders Union. They're probably bankrolling the thing.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. This section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round of free trade negotiations between the EPIS nations and the Free State of Semenine. You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border, something about bear wrestling in Samara, book riots in Yugograd. Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You're not even sure where most of these countries are. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you that Kunst und Kultur must mean arts and culture. Why they decided to title this one section in Volda is beyond you. As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays, as well as a brief artist spotlight featuring a local artist identified only as CS. The main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective. The Tip Top Tournée is an inter-Isolari racing series, mostly known for its high speeds, ludicrous sponsorship deals, and high death toll. In Revachol, it's held quadrennially on the prestigious Zero Carousel racing circuit. This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility to her interviewer. You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled with some nice anecdotes about a few of the more colorful drivers. Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problematic aspects of Tip Top Tournée. Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships, and then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes. So, all of it, basically. Oddly enough, this article has 2 bylines: Nasteb Encolada Bernal and Exilus Buka. There's no way those are real names. Have you ever met anyone named Exilus? Come on, they're plainly pseudonyms. More than that, they're likely anagrams. Under capitalism, the article says, every pursuit has its price. Every pleasure, even one as elemental as the joy of racing others around a track, is reduced to an advertising opportunity. Thus, the so-called tournée becomes a competition between increasingly meaningless brand signifiers. Your discount laundry detergent racing against a pack of Astra cigarettes, or even a fritter. And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random, spectacular violence, audiences would quickly lose interest. At the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real racers that you're really watching for. Sure, you think that, but subconsciously, it's the visions of brand names being engulfed in flames that you crave. That's because you haven't been reading critically. But don't worry. The whole point of these sorts of articles is to let someone else read critically for you.
Ah, come on. Can this article read your mind? A certain kind of young man reads 1 or 2 books and suddenly thinks he understands the secret structures of reality. If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race. I take whatever they write with a large grain of salt.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified support for the dockworkers' strike. You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city in revolt. First we take Martinez, then we take La Delta. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent. One of the editorials proclaims that the more the forces of reaction attempt to crush the body, the more defiant the spirit of communism becomes. You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents It's the ledger you found in the trash. A cabbage of papers hanging from the board. Arson, petty theft, spousal abuse. Handwritten logs on dozens of investigations date back to January 50.
Yes, Harv, it's a holdover from the early days of the... Again, I pray his rail spike through the head.
You don't exactly. It takes about half an hour to piece one together, using the system you've developed. AKA Leslie and Burke. AKA the public indecency drunk and the property damage drunk is a cursed case. It has been passed from unsuspecting officer to unsuspecting officer for 10 years. On January 29, the unsolvable case made its way to you. Why you accepted it, you were so drunk you didn't remember what it was when you signed on. Leslie will always take his pants off when he's drunk. Burke will always trash everything. It's just what they do. It is their nature. You cannot change the nature of a man, and you can't lock them away because public indecency and small-scale property damage are not punishable by incarceration. The only way for Leslie to stop flashing his genitals to bypassers and for Burke to stop dismantling signage and rear-view mirrors would be for them to stop drinking alcohol, which, in their 40s or 50s, you would think that, but you're wrong. Where's the fun in exposing your genitals or breaking stuff in your own home? No, can you keep yourself off the streets? Threatening, fines, dragging them to the station, locking them up in the hellholes they live in, locking them up in the station, hypnotherapy, even trying to get... It's plain to see from the files that you, Satellite Officer JV, and Special Consultant TH, had more important cases to attend to. You uncover cross-reference to several... No, that's Burke. Leslie's shtick is flashing his genitals, remember? How will you ever solve the unsolvable case if you can't even get that straight? Well, turns out it's pretty simple. The case, he must have confused it with the property he likes to damage. But the joke's on him. In the process, the ledger sustains damage. The compartment within, reserved for he came at us, and at us. I think he was trying to kill Burko. While trying to kill, can't get out of his apartment, an invalid. With Burke, which is also why the officer responsible narrowly escapes a Not much has changed in the meanwhile. This is the night watchman's booth. The name on the door reads, Rene, listen, it's okay to take a few minutes to yourself. Sit down and have a breather.
If you must. But please hurry. We are pretty easy to spot up here.
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulously organized. There's a framed photograph on the table. It's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. The man, Rene, is dressed in a Royal Carabinier uniform. The girl is young and very pretty. She is smiling playfully at the camera.
Why did you take that picture of René? Fine, but let's move. I don't want to be seen snooping around here.
The chair is not as austere as the rest of the booth. A thin grey pillow is attached to the seat, secured to the stiles by black ribbons. Stale air floods through your nostrils. Not a single mote of dust floats inside your lungs, though. The inside of the booth is immaculate. The drawers are empty, save for old timesheets and receipts. One small box, however, does hold some cheap painkillers. They are slightly out of date.
I'm not here to tell you what to do, detective.
Oh boy, where to start? Elevated risk of dementia? Mini strokes? Maybe this was a bad... You take the painkillers. They are yours now. You stand and exit